Hello ladies, welcome to Homemakers Radio. I hope you get a few things done while you listen today, and I want to show you my teacup before you go about your business. Now today I'm showing I believe it's Stoneware, and it's by Churchill, and these were quite popular in the United States before the company quit. Has a beautiful cottage on it, which we just love. We don't have that so much here in the US, so we all like it, and each piece was different. The saucer has got a different scene than the cup, and it has a matching plate, and I have several of these. So I hope that you will enjoy today's broadcast, and if you would like to, please go to the link that I'm providing in the description box and just go over to the post where I am embedding this video and watch it over there, because I am just using YouTube as a holding place for my videos, and I don't have any interaction here, but you can leave a comment over there if you like, and it's a very non-distracting atmosphere, and you can also look at former posts. And so I hope that, and I've noticed that I do have quite a few more visits over there than here on the channel, and so I hope that you can get quite a bit done today. I have several things to talk to you about, but first, before I go, I just now received at the door, I have been wanting to open one of these for you for some time, Imperfect Foods. Now, I only, since if there's no one, if I'm not expecting anyone and the relatives aren't coming, I only order a box that's about $14 worth of things. And what it does is it cuts down on having to decide a lot of things at the store and get, I haven't been out actually, but Mr. S is my butler, and it cuts down on some of the details he has to look for, and then he can get on with some other things he needs to do when he's out, errands and things he needs to run. So I want to start out opening it, and I don't know why, I just want to smile when I get one of these. And so they include one of these plasticized information pieces, and they want you to show you what you make with your groceries each week. And it's called Cooking Imperfect. And it's called Imperfect Foods, but the foods are not imperfect. Sometimes it's just a labeling. Sometimes the carrot isn't completely straight. But I want to read what they wrote on the back of it too before I start showing you some things. Now, I pick what I want, and sometimes they will include what you picked last time, and they'll include it again. You've got to go and uncheck all that if you don't want the same thing again. But they get an idea of how you shop, and they sometimes make a list and then fulfill it that way. But you have more control over it yourself. So these are called on the counter items, and it's lemons, basil, peaches, hard squash, avocados, apples, melons, and tomatoes. And they said, here's a tip: store counter items loose and away from sunlight, heat, and moisture. Separate fruits and vegetables, since fruits like apples and pears release gases that can make veggies spoil. Did you know that? That's why we have two of those little bins, the vegetable crispers in the bottom of or top of the refrigerator that you pull out, and it keeps it a little more crisp because there's less moisture in those, where you have the vegetables in one and the fruit in the other. Storing your groceries correctly is one of the best ways to make them last and prevent food waste. I have to say, there has not been any waste of Imperfect Foods. I like it all. Even when it gets down to the last little slice of something, I will still use it. So now in the pantry, they sell the counter items, the pantry items, and the fridge items. So in the pantry, lentils, rice, quinoa, garlic, onions, nut butters, potatoes, nuts, and olive oil. They have the best olive oil. It's just not labeled right, or it froze or something, but it's just delicious. Separate onions and potatoes, since the onions will make the potatoes sprout faster. Have you heard about that? I think my father in the root cellar figured out he could pack, it was either rosemary or branches of rosemary or lavender or some other herb around the potatoes, and it would prevent them from sprouting all winter. In the fridge, don't store dairy items like milk or eggs in the fridge door, since this part of the fridge does not stay cold enough. Interesting. Okay, leeks, cabbage, greens, green beans, eggs, seafood, meat, milk. And they also have a beautiful, forget what the name of the brand is, they have an almond milk, Brussels sprouts, mushrooms, cilantro, berries, broccoli, fennel, cucumbers, beets, and radishes. Don't store dairy items with the milk or eggs in the fridge door. Well, I don't think anybody does that anyway. So anyway, I want you to see that, and we will look at the first thing that I see when it's looks like Bella mushrooms. I have never tried these. I like the white ones you used to see at the grocery store, so I'm going to try these, and we use them in a stir fry. And then I want to show you what I have here, and that is our blood oranges. This is going to be nice for when we have the train ride here, and these are going to be served on their plate, and they'll really enjoy these because we might want to go to some other country like Italy on our train. And then I have ordered this. Now I cut these into pieces, and I include them in a container in the fridge with a nice tight lid with the cut lemons, and we use them in our drinks. But you also can use them in when you do Mexican food. They use a lot of these in Mexican food. And so now I'm going to pull this out, and the shipment always comes with one of these, and it has a zipper type thing. You can pull this strip off, and then it will stick. Now you can't reuse, they won't take them back, but what I use them for, anything that I want to be waterproof, and I have a free yard sale outside on a table up by the curb, and when I think it's going to rain, I'll put things in here, maybe books I want to get rid of, or clothing, or any little thing, and I'll put it in here and stick that out there, and people that come by that want free things just take the whole bag and run. So now I'm going to go through it. This is an insulated bag for the cold things, and I have spring mix, which, you know, I like their spring mix because they don't fill it up with spinach. Now, I don't have any objection to spinach, except that it takes the enamel off my teeth if it's raw, and it also is heavy in oxalates, which I'm trying to cut down on oxalates. It causes sinus headaches, and also bad for people that tend to have kidney stones. But this doesn't have any spinach in it. It's very leafy. I think I'm getting cheated if it says spring mix or greens, and all it is a whole bunch of spinach with one or two little leafy things in it. I think that's a big cheat, and I always have to tell Mr. X, go look through the container and see and make sure it's not all spinach. Nonetheless, it's easier to order it myself. Okay, so now we have, let's see, what we have here is something called cottage cheese. I'm anxious to try that. Organic clabbered cottage cheese from a company called Cowgirl. Yeah. And then I have, and they always include one of these frozen things, which my fridge is full of them, but I can also put them out there in the free stuff, and people like to have it. They freeze them and use them when they're camping. So I can get rid of them or take them with us if we need to go. We need to pack a tea lunch or something. And so here is a few more things in here I wanted to show you. So this is organic, thick carved oven roast chicken for those who like to eat meat at our inn, which is just a pretend inn, you know. It's just for my downline. It's just for my descendants. And then organic beef strip sirloin. So that will be for whoever wants to eat meat. Now, I didn't get very much, but that's all I wanted for this time, and I thought you might enjoy seeing me open that. And so today I have a few things I'd like to talk about. It might not be as long as normal, and I'd like to start with making sure that you got dressed today and got yourself fixed up. I had a question about my hair. Now, it hasn't been turning white like it should. It kind of got a brassy look at the roots, and it's rather yellow or orangey. And so on my dry hair, I take the used tea bag and pat it all over the growth sections. And of course my hair is already light brown, and tea is light brown anyway. And you might, you can get coffee bags. You can just dip those in hot water and treat your hair. I haven't had any luck with it having any difference. If my hair was already wet and I made up tea and poured it over my hair, I found it better just to use the tea bags on the new growth. I don't know if it helps or not, but my hair feels a lot softer, and I like that, and it's more manageable. Now, not everyone is the same, so it might not work for you. So make sure that you have got dressed, and so you can get your day started. I prefer myself to have a list ready and then get dressed, and then on my list I will write get dressed, because as I get more elderly, I like to be told what to do, and I like to have a list I can check off. One of the things that I have found about that helps motivate me is to have this list. And it doesn't have to be an hour by hour list. For me, I need to be able to be interrupted and be more flexible, so I can't stick to it. And often I find on the hour by hour list that things either get done sooner or much, much later than the time slot that I allowed myself. So I also will include on my list, besides getting dressed, is my exercise. And lately I have been in training, because when we ran the foot races during the weekend at the inn, I lost every race, and the 3-year-old beat me in everything. I don't know if I could beat 3-year-old, but I am in training now. And it reminded me of, you can get these scripts online and read your favorite movies, like The Quiet Man. And I was reading through that script the other day, and the vicar had told him, "Oh, you're in training now," he said. So he encouraged him to go home and get to bed early, and but I'm in training now, so I have been running a little bit every day, 2 or 3 steps. I don't think I'll win the contest in jumping. I haven't been able to manage jumping more than an inch off the ground, but so I'm in training, and I have been running a little bit every day, just 2 or 3 steps. And in a safe place, of course, because I know my family has told me I can't get on a chair or a ladder anymore, because they won't be able to come and help me, because they live so far away, especially in the middle of winter. But no one has said I can't run, so I'm going to just be in training. I'm going to run a little bit. And so one of the things that how homemaking changes when you're in captivity, is that your mind is more free from all the commotion that goes on in the commercial world and in the political world. Your mind is more free, and I have found that I am almost desperately creative and coming up with ideas that I never knew, and also shocked, almost like I feel a buzz when I remember something. I have gotten in a bad habit of just carelessly setting something down, or doing something just mindlessly, thoughtlessly, doing routine things and not even thinking about them. And then when I am wanting to find something, I can't find it, don't know where I set it down, and yet I haven't left the house. Well, lately, since I have been in captivity away from that world since last July, I'm starting to remember things very quickly, which makes me realize it's like being out in dust all the time. You're just out there, and your mind is so foggy from all the commotion and all the things you have to do. And remember that home life kind of becomes just a place where you crash to get over and recuperate from all that stuff out there. Well, it's just now the opposite. It's not like that at all. And so my creativity has had a burst, and I'm not mindlessly doing so many things. And I was over in the church building the other day to get something, and noticed I have not looked in a long time at this old door over there, and it's probably a 150-year-old building, and there were those keyholes in there, and I wondered where the keys were to those keyholes. I haven't ever seen them, but maybe the door was just an old door that someone bought and hooked on there, so we don't know. But I looked at it and really appreciated it more, and noticing a lot more things, as I think it takes the fog out of your mind to stay home. If you ever decide you want to do that, you need to plan it out and get everything that you're going to need, figure out where you're going to order your groceries, and also learn to observe as the days, keep a journal, and observe as the days go by what things that you would have liked to have happened, what things that you miss the most, and how you're feeling about it. And many people who are home now with their children since the schools closed have just enjoyed them so much and said that the sweetness is coming out in their children, that they're loving their children more. And also, one thing that we have to understand is that with homemaking, there is a purpose in it. It's not just something that you have to mindlessly do because it's grunge and everything, but you can appreciate it more. In fact, there was a woman that wrote a book called Home Comforts. Cheryl Mendelson, I believe, was her name. And she had been a lawyer. And when she came home, she discovered that it was actually harder than going to work. And she discovered all kinds of things about what works and what doesn't work in the kitchen, on the floor, as far as sheets and pillowcases and towels and which are the best. And you start discovering a lot of these things and appreciating it more. And a lot of people would like to be home or would like to be homeschoolers, but they don't have the confidence. They feel that it's too hard. But I will tell you something that breeds confidence in just about everything, whether it's the way you dress. I'm wearing today a Laura Ashley pattern that I sewed this, and my daughter and I, when we wear out our clothes, we bring them in a box and let each other go through them first and try to recycle them through each other. So this is one that I made for her that I'm wearing. When she wears them out, I'll figure out a way that I can wear them again. So this one will. I'll wear this till it bites the dust, but there's less self-consciousness of me wearing it because I'm not out in the public, and it's acceptable to me to wear this. And it's very comfortable. It's cotton. It's made out of the I forget what it's called. I forget what the fabric was called. And besides cotton, it had another name because it's got a little bit more thickness to it. So I want to talk a little bit about a few things. That won't be a very long video today. I just thought maybe I would come and talk about a few things. We want to talk about getting things done in the home. If you tend to get up in the morning, you're kind of running around in circles. And the first thing is really be dependent on your list for a while, because that will focus your mind. If you cannot focus, go and look at the list and then do something whether or not if you like it, and just continue. And especially if you start with your stretch exercises, your warm-up exercises, that frees your mind. Sometimes you can get kind of stuck in your thinking and rather discombobulated and not able to think about what am I going to do next, especially if you're alone. Now, when you have a family around you, it's just automatic. It's more purposeful, and you have a reason that you have to keep on your toes, you have to keep going, you have to get up, you have to get dressed, because these people will need to have somebody guiding the home and making sure that food and meal preparation is done by someone. And so that is a great motivation, which is one of the reasons I started the weekend at the end, was it would give me a chance to be busier in some of these areas that I've neglected. So it really motivated me. Now, one of the things that breeds confidence in just about everything is privacy. The more private you are, and the less you let out and talk about your personal feelings or your personal business or anything like that, the more confidence you will have, because you won't have anyone making an objection to it. You won't have anyone running it down. You won't have anyone pointing it out, laughing at it. So the more privacy you have, the more confidence you will have. You'll notice a lot of these homeschoolers who are now teenagers have a lot of personal, they're not overly confident, but they're not so self-conscious. They don't have a lot of anxiety because their life has been kept quietly at home, and they have just studied the things that have given them the character qualities that are necessary to give them the self-confidence. Now, someone did ask me a question about keeping a an 8-year-old boy busy or interested in homeschooling, and I have thought about that today. And I know that with boys especially, and sometimes with girls, but boys especially, really respond to activity and hands-on learning. And just because they're not interested in the quote school part where there's books and writing does not mean that they're going to fail. And so what you have to do is turn everything into uh, living, daily living at home, turn it all into uh, the priceless learning that they're going to have all of their lives. And it starts maybe first thing in the morning on washing yourself and getting clean and putting on clean things. And someone suggested you get them a microscope so you could see in dirty water what the living organisms are. And someone suggested also that you have them use, I know some people use toys and Lego and things like that to teach them math and fractions. And there are so many ways that you can do it. And education is not all in a curriculum or all in a book. And even food preparation, very helpful to have the young children come and help, boys and girls. And growing a little garden of just growing something, growing some peas, or growing something that they probably would like to eat as a snack. This is really important. And then work and learning. You yourself know your children better than anybody, and you know also what they tend to do, which you could turn into part of their life skills, part of their learning. Now, I will have to tell you that by the time a child is 9, their eyes and ears are not fully developed, and I would not suggest any close-up work until then, if you can possibly help it. Some of them are pretty eager to learn. They want to read and write at an early age. But, you know, there's less chance they will have to wear glasses or have eyesight problem or hearing problem if you wait until they're 9 years old. And you can learn this from a book called Better Late Than Early. And I've forgotten who wrote it. But a lot of parents will worry about this because they're getting the public schools. Unfortunately, we're still imitating them and wanting to get the children started earlier. And they're like, well, what are you going to do with a 3-year-old who's a genius and he can't get a job, he can't earn any money? What are you going to do? Why not just let them be children for as long as they will be children? And but keep a closeness to them and love them and make sure that they know that they're loved, and praise them for any progress that they make, and also talk to them about the character qualities that they need to use to improve on, and things like patience and things that you see. You can tell better than anybody what your child needs. But unfortunately, many people are basing their child's needs on what the education system says they need. Well, the education system is not particularly brilliant in many things. They believe that one subject, the way it's taught, will suit many people. This is not true. One size doesn't fit all in the education system. So at home, you have to determine what you will do and what your child is capable of, and you may have to wait a year. But in the meantime, you can teach them good manners. You can teach them to be clean. You can teach them to be diligent. You can teach them to be helpful. You can teach them to be kind, and you can teach them to be respectful. You can teach them to love the Lord. You can teach them many things, and you can read to them. Maybe they're not responding to, quote, schoolwork, but you could read the schoolwork to them. And you don't have to have them do a lot of writing themselves. But, you know, even when they're little, can you remember reading a book to them and then saying, oh, show me the dog in the picture, and they can point to it. And little things like that. One of the nicest little curriculums that I had when my children were very, very young was called Christian Light, I think it was. And there were a lot of things that showed, you know, group these things that are the same, that belong in this category, things like that. And the children respond pretty well with that. There are other things, too, that you can do, and you might check into something called unschooling. and there's another philosophy too that goes around that I like too, is delight learning, and just making life wonderful. Those early years, if you can give them a good foundation of love and stability and creativity and confidence, you and you know, one of it will help later on in life because they fall back on that. And one of the things that helped me a lot when I was really little was art. Art is something that's non-demanding. You don't get an A or B or C in it. You don't get any kind of a grade in homeschool. You just do it because you love it, and it doesn't matter. And then later on, maybe you develop a few more skills, and the pictures start to look more like something. Um, and then there's all kinds of kits you can order for children. I noticed there was one called a camp kit where they would learn to do things with clay and learn to do things with rope and learn to do things, and it was a whole kit, and I saw it online the other day, things that you can buy for 8-year-old boys that they can do. It depends on whether you want you'd have to supervise it all. You have to be totally involved in it. You can't just give a kid a kit of something and just say, you know, play with this. You have to be totally involved in it. Another thing is taking your 8-year-old with you wherever you go and helping them to learn how to pick things out that have value. For example, fresh fruits and vegetables, you teach them this one is good, but this one is not so good. And you can teach them at a very young age to be aware of how food is so good for you and what's good for you and what's not good for you. And there are just so many things that I think a lot of you are just going to have to learn as you go. And another thing too is if you are determined that you have to have, you know, curriculum and that the education all comes from books, find a curriculum you like better or that he likes better. You don't have to use the one that you ordered. You can find other stuff. And you keep them around for a while, and then maybe when they're 12, they'll go back to it and enjoy it. But a lot of it is, I have to say, their brain and their eyes and their ears are not fully developed, and to not push it and not rush it. Remember the poem I read to you, Hurry the Baby? As fast as you can, hurry him, worry him, make him a man. Off with his baby clothes, on with his pants, feed him on brain foods and make him advance. Of every known subject, a dip and a dab. And keep on filling his head full of facts, keep on cramming them in until it cracks. And then this poem goes on to this demise of this poor young man as he just dies of nervousness. And so that's the one thing, is let them be children as long as they will. It doesn't mean that they will be childish or immature, but let them enjoy childhood, happy and carefree and worthwhile, under the wing of their dear and wise mother. And so, ladies, you can also teach them to sing, and you can teach them the rhythm of poetry, how it rhymes and how good it makes them feel. And there are a lot of poems you can find, old-fashioned poems on helping and work. So just as much as you can, let them have a normal life. Education is not everything, and that's what we are trying to say, is that love and kindness and wisdom and making good judgments and good decisions are more important. And so while we want them to read and write, it's not a desperate thing at that age. It can wait. Be happy if they know a little bit of the alphabet, a few numbers, and don't be in a big hurry. However, I think you'll probably do a lot better than that in this day and age, as some children are. They do catch on to things a lot faster than you realize. You can also teach them to make their own things. Like I told people how to make a board game. Well, you can teach them how to make a board game. You can teach them how to make a jigsaw puzzle, maybe 4 pieces. Just teach them how to make a jigsaw puzzle and put the addition on the back, 1 plus 1, or 5 plus 5 on the back, and have them put it together and learn it that way with a jigsaw puzzle, cutting your own. And you can teach them how to make crossword puzzles, your own crosswords. You know, in this day and age when everybody feels they're in captivity, I was reading somewhere where someone said, oh, keep your mind active, buy these crossword puzzle books. But you have to realize these crossword puzzle books are from the mind of somebody else, and they've got their agenda and they've got some of their beliefs and stuff in it. Why not just make your own? And those are fun. We're going to do that on the train ride. Everyone's going to make up a crossword puzzle, and everyone's going to write a mystery. And the mystery is going to focus on something that's missing, or someone's identity or name or something. It won't be like on the mystery trains with the murders. I always wondered, why does a mystery always have to be some kind of macabre thing with all that gore? So our mysteries are going to be a little bit different on the train next month. Another thing I'd like to implore you to do is, if you have troubled people who like to come in your life and stage some kind of a argument or blow up, is to the technique of lowering your voice, because they have to be quiet in order to hear you. And if you've got maybe a child who's getting kind of fussy or making a lot of noise, getting upset about something, lower your voice, because they have to be quiet in order to hear it. Not that it will always work on everybody. Everybody is different. Also like to encourage you to have some kind of project that you do besides housework. Now, some people just thrive in housework. They like it. They like the movement of it. They like to see everything shine and sparkle. But other people need a little bit more creativity. And so to be your creative best, I think that you've got to keep the media out of it, especially the news type media, as everything is so messed up and they're so mixed up. The best thing you can do is keep your home in order and keep your family loyal and with you and enjoying your home life, and turn your home into some kind of retreat for them, and give it your all, put your whole heart into it, and just forget about what they're doing out there. They're restricting us at every turn, especially in the commercial area, and that's the area that I'm staying away from, because they're taking people's liberty away from them. There used to be laws that you could not treat a customer bad. You could actually be reported by the Better Business Bureau, because they're not allowed to distinguish and treat one worse than the other. Everybody has to be treated nicely in business, or you could lose your license. Well, now there's a type of person that has taken over these businesses that treat the customer as though they were the enemy. So I'm staying away from that, and I think that's good to stay away from that. Not good to subject the kids to what goes on in the shopping and everything. If you can do your best to create your own style of business at home, and teach your children how to play store and how to be nice to the customer. And eventually, I think we're going to undermine that whole system in the families. The different families are going to have little stores in their homes, and we're all going to visit one another, starting with our relatives, and buy things from one another. We might even end up... Now, one thing that puzzles me is the post office. Nothing has changed at the post office. They're still sending stuff to anybody, and there's no restriction on what you order or get, and they're not requiring any kind of prerequisite to ordering or to getting stuff. The post office, the delivery comes, you can send it just about anything, and it's not required to have it sanitized or anything. So I'm curious about what's going on with the post office. It's a different sort of thing. It's part of the government sometimes in some countries, and just wondering why the post office does not have the same restrictions as any other kind of enterprise. That would be an interesting thing to study, wouldn't it? And so we may, from family to family, different families might be communicating with one another and setting up their own type of businesses in their homes with each other without all the restrictions for each other. That'll be interesting, won't it? And there's just more of us than there are of them, and that's why I think we're restricted so much, because they get kind of a little power thing going there. I've noticed some people that all they do is they stock the shelves with things, with groceries, But now they are empowered to boss the customers. Stand on that line. You're going the wrong way. Go stand on the X. Back 6 feet. And they're enjoying this power trip that they have. I think they used to call it a trip, didn't they, in the olden days? And so now people that don't have any authority suddenly have authority over older people, and just really getting into bossing where they shouldn't be bossing. And of course they're trained to do this. Well, you can avoid all that. You don't have to put the children through this kind of stress. You can, why don't you start, if you don't want to be in captivity like I am, just start with one day. Just one day. Don't go out at all, and then make it go into 2 days. Just do it gradually. See how long it is before you think you have to go out. And just see how much you can manage at home, how much you can imagine, how much, you can write books for your own children. Talking about maybe an 8-year-old at home that you're trying to homeschool, write him a little book, a story, and call it his books on the back. Call it Johnny's book, Johnny's books, and number 1, and go on and write your lessons out on little handmade books. Or he could write the lesson out, and just to make it so personal. You can do more than you think you can. We have been so dependent on getting our lives taken care of by other people, by industry, by the commercial world. Everything is supplied for us. One of the things we do at the Thrive Academy that I have on Zoom for my grandchildren is we learn to make things that you normally would buy, like crackers. Have you ever thought of making your own crackers? You can also make your own everything else, ketchup and condiments and things like that. You can make anything that you can buy. Those things are all made. Manufacture means man-made. It's just at a rapid speed, but manufacture means man-made. But they're just made in manufacturing places and by machines. I think it also means machine-made, but you can make just about anything at home by yourself. The only thing I haven't figured out how to make would be shoes. And there are just many things that you can do yourself, and gradually lose your dependence on everybody else out there. And if you want to start ordering things, well, that's a good start. Make sure that you read all the reviews, though, and you can kind of tell the difference between someone who's just a troublemaker and writing a disgruntled comment and someone who genuinely is trying to tell you this doesn't fit right, or this was poor quality, or it was too hard to put together. So you can gradually lose your dependence on everyone else out there. You can learn to take care of yourself in so many ways. We now have people who are learning to dress hair and helping each other with their hairstyles, and people who are learning to just sew their clothes, do their own thing. And so, ladies, I hope that you got a few things done today. I'm not able to stay here a long time today, but be sure and go to the post where I have embedded this and leave a comment if you like, and I will also show you some pictures, other pictures to go with. So we'll talk to you later. Bye.